Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2023 or Pokemon Horizons the series anime episode review. This time I am talking about episode 4. So let's get to it. In this episode, the rising boat tacklers are forced to land on an island in the middle of the ocean due to the fact that their airship still needs repairs. Since they need materials to make said repairs, Freed decides to go talk to an old man who once took care of him, who happens to live on this island. Meanwhile, Liko, now in her main outfit, and Sprigatito stumble upon Fuecoco, who is singing. But when it realizes that its performance has an audience, it runs away. Fuecoco ends up hanging out with Charizard, who we later learn is someone Fuecoco looks up to, which is why they are almost always together. However, when Freed heads out with Charizard, Fuecoco unfortunately ends up falling off the airship. Liko soon notices that Fuecoco is gone, so she decides to look for it all over the airship, but she cannot find it. During her search, the old man tells her that Fuecoco loves to sing, but it won't let anyone see it doing so. Eventually, Liko and Sprigatito find the marks left behind by Fuecoco when it tried to use its claws to hold on. Realizing that Fuecoco fell off the airship, Liko disembarks as well to search for it alongside Sprigatito. Meanwhile, Roy, who lives on this island and found the missing flag of the rising boat tacklers in the previous episode, skips a rock on the ocean before admiring the flag. He then sits down in the forest in order to take an online class. Right before class starts, some of his fellow students reveal that they all got Pokemon and became trainers. Roy reveals that he wants to be a Pokemon trainer as well, since there is something big he wants to do, and he needs a Pokemon for it. But sadly, since there are no trainers on the island, he has no way of catching a Pokemon. Meanwhile, Fuecoco eats a bunch of berries inside a large tree trunk. It then sneaks into a small house in the forest. Liko and Sprigatito soon stumble upon the leftovers of Fuecoco's feast. But before they can properly investigate the scene, they are attacked by a bunch of angry Pokemon. Meanwhile, Roy makes his way to the small house Fuecoco entered earlier. Turns out that this is Roy's secret base, and he is shocked to find it ravaged. As he searches for the culprit, Roy hears Fuecoco singing, so he approaches the Fire Croc Pokemon, who instantly flees upon seeing Roy. Though Roy chases after it, eventually saving it from falling down a cliff. Here, Roy spots the brave Asagi in the distance, which surprises him greatly. Elsewhere on the island, Freed visits the old man he mentioned, who just happens to be Roy's grandfather. He refuses to help Freed, saying that Professor Freed should figure something out. Freed does not take kindly to being called a professor, and he voices his displeasure. Soon, a man appears in a panic, saying that the Pokemon in the forest are rampaging. so Freed decides to investigate. Meanwhile, Roy tries to get Fuecoco to sing again, saying that he loves its singing and that it somehow cheers him up. Fuecoco obliges, and the two of them proceed to sing together. Roy then shares what his dream is with Fuecoco while revealing the flag he found, which Fuecoco recognizes. However, their conversation is stopped when they hear screams, which are coming from Liko and Sprigatito, who are still being pursued by the wild Pokemon, with even more Pokemon soon joining the chase. Roy decides to help them, and when he gets close, his mysterious Pokeball and Liko's pendant begin to glow. Roy uses a rock to distract the Pokemon, and he then helps Liko and Sprigatito get away. Once they are far enough away, Liko and Roy introduce themselves to each other, and Liko thanks Roy for saving her. Roy then shows off his special Pokeball, which he calls the Ancient Pokeball. He says that his grandfather found it a long time ago, and all they know about it is that it won't open. Thus they surmise that nothing is inside it. He then says that he wants to be a trainer, and not just any trainer, but one like the ancient adventurers who faced legendary Pokemon, traveled the world, and looked for Pokemon and treasure in places nobody has been to before. The angry wild Pokemon soon find them, and while Liko, Sprigatito, and Fuecoco try to fight back, it's no use. They all end up kidnapped and then berated by the Pokemon. Here they learn why the Pokemon are angry. Turns out that the berries Fuecoco ate belonged to these Pokemon. Just before things escalate further, Freed appears. He and Captain Pikachu proceed to appease the Pokemon by making them tie themselves up with their own string shot and feeding them berries. Once the situation is under control, Freed thanks Roy for saving Liko, Sprigatito, and Fuecoco, and he tells Liko that they should head back. However, before they do this, Liko and Roy decide to pick a bunch of berries to replace the ones Fuecoco ate. This makes the wild Pokemon happy. Freed and Liko then leave alongside their Pokemon and Fuecoco, leaving Roy behind, who waves goodbye. At night, Fuecoco sings, which makes Liko and Sprigatito wake up. Liko wonders about Roy and about why her pendant shined. The episode ends with Amegio speaking to a butler-looking guy who wonders about the pendant and if Amegio reported his findings to Master Giveon. Amegio says that he has his next move in mind, so he won't report anything just yet. Turns out that thanks to the device the male explorer planted on the airship in the previous episode, Amegio and the explorers have tracked down the Rising Bolt Tacklers. So, that's the short but detailed summary of the episode. Now it's time to highlight, analyze, and comment on my favorite moments and or moments that are noteworthy / interesting. It's nice that we finally got to meet Roy properly. I already love his energy, positivity, kindness, and enthusiasm. He will make a great foil to Liko's quieter and more reserved personality. His dream is an interesting and unique one that I cannot wait to see unfold. Additionally, I am already quite intrigued by his so-called ancient Pokemon. Why it won't open, what it is meant for, etc. The fact that it seems to be related in some way to Liko's pendant only makes me even more interested in the mystery surrounding these two artifacts. Hopefully, we get some answers soon. Fuecoco was adorable in this episode, and I love that its singing is very likely a reference to its final evolution Skeledirge, who is the singer Pokemon. Perhaps they are hinting at the fact that Fuecoco will evolve all the way. It's also great that it got to meet and bond with Roy, who will very likely catch it. It's cool that the explorers are still around, since I am eager to learn what they are about and what their plans are. It's extra cool that we got to meet another one of them, and we even learned the name of their supposed boss, revealing that Amegio is not the leader. I cannot wait to meet this Master Giveon. Finally, I am curious about Freed and his status as a Pokemon professor, since he clearly has an apprehension to being called one. So there is clearly some backstory here that needs to be explored, and I cannot wait to see it. But those are my thoughts on and analysis of the episode. Now it's time to bring this review to a close by going over my overall opinion of the episode. So, overall, this episode was alright. It's the first episode of this series that did not have any real action or very thrilling revelations. It's also the first one where none of the characters revealed any new shades to them, thus making them more likable and interesting. Except for Freed and Roy, of course. It's clear that this episode was mostly just set up for the next episode, where presumably Roy will join the Rising Bolt Tacklers and catch Fuecoco. So yeah, overall, this episode was good. While it wasn't anything amazing or groundbreaking, at least it did a great job of introducing a new character, giving Fuecoco some time to shine, and putting some additional interesting mysteries on the table. But that's the review and the video. So, as always, leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.